Metal Scholars, the second interlude. For safety reasons, I'm going to play it like so.
To argue the existence of anything beyond death is to reject the idea of death itself. Death is not the opening of some eternal door. Death does not confer transcendence of any kind. To make such assertions is to act as though we do not know death, as though we do not spend our lives trying to drag forth some semblance of meaning from beneath death's thick, dark shadow, as though we have not also inflicted it, no less that we sometimes revel in it. It is only the certainty of death that provides us with the darkness against which we all blow, defiantly. Life without death knows no form, no boundary. Without death and our finite nature, we would be stripped of all meaning, left to wander as little more than mindlessly rotating gears in the quiet engine of a cold hell. But we do not die because it gives our lives meaning. We die because this is the way of all things. And in the end, is that not all we are?
Vessel begins by rejecting the notion that death opens a door to this eternal, to this transcendental realm. So this challenges many religious and spiritual beliefs that posit an afterlife or a continued existence beyond physical death. It talks about the meaning of death, that humans live under this thick, dark shadow. So it's the archetype of the shadow. And death shapes our human consciousness. Without death, life is formless. Life is boundless. In a way, we need death to rotate our gears. We have a complex relationship with it. It is definitely a source of fear. It is definitely a source of sadness. But at the same time, it's also a source of fascination, a source of power. As I said in previous videos, sleep might be a metaphor for death. And in the end, the interlude culminates in the acceptance that life is final and dying is just the way of all things, right? Everything dies, even stars. The whole universe, anything that you can think about will perish. So this acceptance highlights this natural view of death. It's just an inherent part of your cycle. So you see how contrasting it is compared to the first interlude. If you watch my first interlude here, arguing against the romanticization or the spiritualization of death. This could be in a way related to Tomb, because the interludes are related to the albums, according to the order. So you have a more nihilistic and existential view. It's like, we do not die because this will give meaning to my life. I'm challenging that. I'm considering now the value and the purpose of life in the absence of this transcendental experience, Let's focus on the here and now. Let's focus on the reality of existence. Now, analyzing the third interlude, it further explores and elaborates on the theme of death, presenting it in a more poetic and metaphorical term, compared to the second one, which was more stark and more existential.
It is not simply some kind of existential threshold we are all fated to cross. It is far more than these small notions. One does not need to look as far as the end of their own life to be confronted with the unknowable. One does not even need to look that far to be
So this one, Vessel emphasizes that death is not just an existential threshold or a simple crossing from life into nothingness. Instead, he presents it as a profound, multifaceted part of life that interweaves with our experiences in ways that are both visible and subtle. We don't have to reach the end of life to encounter the unknowable. The nature of death itself suggests that its influences are very present, ever so present, and it shapes our life. It's not shaping our life just when we reach the end. It's all the time. It's omnipresent. It affects our decisions. It affects our fears, our hopes. They use a lot of metaphors for death. So even sleep could be a metaphor for death. So it's described as something vivid. They refer to colors. It soaks every part of the canvas, like life being a canvas. Our actions are the shapes, and the painting itself is our life, right? And then there's just the darkness that envelops everything, which could be seen as a canopy, right? When we look up, we see the black canopy of death surrounding us, because space, in a way, and the sky, it represents our death. Death is a fabric that we have to clothe our bodies, clothe the living. That implies that death is not only about the deceased, it's enveloping those who are alive, us. When we mourn, or when we fear things, or even when we contemplate mortality. And death is a weapon. That's why it's amazing. We see the secret guardians, on Take Me Back to Eden, and each can be seen as a guardian to take you to experience this limit. Death will be your ultimate adversary. It's the rhythm of the symphony. There's a notion that death brings hope and death brings fear. When it brings hope and fear, it's kind of like contrasting. It's asking us to dance with these emotions. So this dual nature reflects the complex human response to death. Sleep Token encourages you to have a deeper contemplation. And that's about it. For those two interludes, very deep, and I hope that this enlightens some of the ideas, and I hope that this gives us directions as to where they're going with their next album. And that does it for me, Metal Scholars. Please like the video, share with other Sleep Token fans, hit the bell button for notifications so you don't miss out on any new content. And as always, music is what music does. And I'm signing out. Bye now.